am a single mom. I used to receive food stamps. I used to receive, well, my son used to have Medicaid, and I used to get WIC when he was little. Until one day I got a letter in the mail where Uncle was saying, basically telling me that I made too much money and my benefits was cut off. And the hardest thing for me was trying to figure out how am I about to basically feed myself and feed my son, because although I was working, I wasn't sure where the rest of my money was going. I was like a lot of other people where I would get my paycheck and 2 seconds later it would be gone. So I had to actually sit down and figure out where is my money going. And the easiest way for me to do that was by creating a budget. Now, if you are like me in any way, financial literacy was not a concept. I had no financial literacy, so creating a budget was not. All I knew is I had to use what I got, but I didn't necessarily know how to make my money work for me. So what I did was I hopped on YouTube and I figured out how do you make a budget. So if you like your SNAP benefits are paused and you don't like the feeling of feeling like somebody can just take food out your baby mouth, because I did not like that. That was the worst feeling ever. I'm going to show you how I added food back into my budget, and hopefully this will help somebody. So the first thing you want to do, you want to go to the dollar store and get you like a little composition notebook, or if you have a planner, or something for you to write in. If you like me, I like to write stuff down. I don't like to type in, like digital journals and stuff like that. I like to write stuff down and visually see it. You're going to make this your budget notebook. So in here, you're going to put down all of your expenses. So the first thing you want to do before you start to make your budget is you want to get your bank statement. So if you have a bank account, most people have a bank account, every month you get your monthly statements. And I never looked at my bank statements, I'm not gonna lie. I would advise you to get your bank statements up to 3 months so you can just have more of an accurate representation, I guess, of what you spending your money on. Because the goal is for you to sit down and look at where your money is going, so you can figure out where you need to make cuts so that you can add food back into your budget. And then you also want to get your pay stubs if you work. I know some people who get stamps and stuff, they don't work, but if you were like me and you work, you want to get your pay stubs too. Get your pay stubs for the month so that you can have an accurate, like you can know how much you make, roughly how much you make a month. So now that you got your bank statements, you can see how much you spend it, and you got your check stubs, and you can see how much you making, you're going to start to write this information down. So in your notebook, you're going to write down how much you make a month, right? You're going to use your bank statements to start to make a list of necessities and non-necessities. So necessities include your rent, utilities, what I put on here, your car, like how much gas, your maintenance, oil, food, but we'll add that in later, because at this point you were getting stamps, your phone bill, cable, your expenses for your kids. So if certain things you just don't let fly, like my son don't go without a haircut, my daughter need her hair braided, my kids got health insurance, stuff like that, car insurance, if you paying off debt, student loans, credit card debt, stuff like that, those are your necessities. And then you have your non-necessities, and you'll get this off your bank statement too. So like streaming services, if you got like Hulu, Amazon Prime, you're going to calculate how much money you spend in fast food. If you are a self-medicating type of girly or a self-medicating type of guy, you smoke weed, you drink, you smoke cigarettes, or whatever your addiction may be, to kind of take the edge off, you want to put that on your non-necessities list as well. And any other thing that's just not like a necessity for you to survive, you're going to put that on the list too. And next to all of these things, you're going to write how much you spend a month. So say, for instance, if you have a monthly income of $3,500 and your rent is $1,500, you're going to write that down. You're going to write down $1,500, and you pay about roughly $100 in utilities. So my electricity and gas and sewage, I pay about $100 a month, $200 a month. So you're gonna write that down. How much you pay for your phone bill. My phone bill $100 or whatever. My kids' expenses, my health insurance is this much. You're gonna write it down. Then you're going to, for your non-necessities, you're going to start to add that stuff up. Say like I went to McDonald's 7 times this month and I spent a total of $65. If that's an average, that's why you pull 3 bank statements. So on average, I spend about $65 a month on McDonald's. You're going to put that on your non-necessities list, right? So now that we got our necessities and our non-necessities down, we're going to add this up. We're going to add up all of these numbers we just put. So add up your necessities and get a total. Add up your non-necessities and get a total. Add them together, and that'll tell you how much you're spending. And that's how you're going to see where your money going. Now, you're going to compare that number that you got to how much you making. And this is how you're going to find out if you are in the red or if you're in the green. Most people, especially if you low income, you spend more money than you make. So you're in the red. So you will say, okay, damn, I make $3,500 a month, but my necessities and my non-necessities is about 4,000. I gotta cut out $500, and so this is where we start to make cuts. So what you need to do is we're gonna start removing completely non-necessities. If you don't need it to survive every day, it gotta go, because at this point you gotta feed your kids and you need every single penny. And then we're gonna start lowering our necessities. So for example, if your phone bill is $150 a month, you need to call T-Mobile or whoever and see how you could deduct $50 from that. If you have a contract, maybe you may need to pay your phone off and go to a month to month. Like if go from AT&T to Metro just for a little bit until you can get back in the green. You get what I'm saying? So we're going to start doing that, slicing off things, canceling subscriptions, lowering costs, getting rid of addictions, things that are, that's not going to help us, because at the end of the day, what's more important, these things that you feel like you want or feeding your kids? And if you're a really good mama, feeding your kids is what's important. And once you start getting rid of non-necessities and lowering the cost of your necessities, you're going to save so much money. Just like on average with me, when I lowered my phone bill and my cable bill, I saved $80 a month. I had to add that into my food budget, because in reality, say for example, you may get I was only getting $150 or like $142 in stamps or whatever, which was good because it's just me and my son. But if you got more kids, more people in your household, you may get $500 a month in stamps. And $500 a month in stamps go so much further. You will have to cut that in half, if not like probably like a quarter of that, using like actual money. So say for example, if you get $300 in stamps or whatever, you may want to budget for $150 in stamps. $150 in cash, because now you're gonna have to shop smarter. You're gonna have to meal prep, throughout the week, or meal plan, so that you know that I have this certain budget. I have to buy these ingredients and I got to make them stretch, because you don't have the extra income. And I would strongly advise steering towards whole foods. So like the way that the government would like kind of like bottle feed you with WIC. Okay, I'm going to give you peanut butter. I'm going to give you rice. I'm going to give you vegetables, potatoes. They basically give you whole food ingredients to make full meals. That's how you'll have to begin to shop for the time being, until you get that extra income back. If you're waiting for your SNAP benefits to return, or if they cut you off for good, and you're like, okay, my thought process, and like if you like me, my thought process is forward motion. So I don't foresee them giving me no stamps back unless something happened. You get what I'm saying? So make you a budget. This really did help me when I was trying to put a budget together, and I hope it helps somebody else. So if you want more like a detailed information from an expert, I would strongly advise you to go on YouTube and look at some of those accounts where people are talking about budgeting, cutting expenses, those channels where they can give you more information on how to really do it. Or you could actually go into your bank, and your bank will help you create a budget. That's what I did to put food back into my budget to feed my son after they cut me off my benefits. And I feel like it can help you, so give it a try.